Good evening. I'd like to call the November 6th meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission to order. I'd like to make a motion that as vice chair, I'll assume the duties of the chair due to the absence of the chair. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Did everybody get a chance to look at the October 2nd minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any issues?
No?
Okay, make a motion to accept the October 2nd, 2024 minutes. Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I neglected to mention, this is a hybrid meeting. If anybody is attending by Zoom, they can participate in that way. But in the event of an electronic failure, the meeting will continue in person. First order of business, I have Rubio, 1313 Caswell Street. And I have to read the notice for that. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, public hearing will be held for the Marshfield Conservation Commission Wednesday, November 6, 2024, at 6:30 to consider after-the-fact requests for determination of applicability filed by Florence Rubio, 1313 Caswell Street, Marshfield. And John is the hearing officer.
All right, thank you, Bert. Mike, all the administrative requirements been met?
Yes, all the
Are there
administrative requirements
That
have
have
been
been
met.
applicable? Did I hear you? Are you, Ms. Rubio, you want to talk about the project? Or Mike, do you want to say anything about the project to get underway?
Yeah, would you like to go first?
Sure. It all started with, I was gonna have windows replaced, and I found out my foundation's bowing. And I've been here before with my neighbor, and I've never had water like I had, and I think it's due to that. I've lived there 44 years. So we had to reinforce the foundation, and they said, I need to get the water away from my foundation. So my contractor called the building department, and they said, I do not need anything unless I go down 3 feet. They never said you should check with conservation. So we went ahead because we were trying to fight. We had to get a window that there was no rain. So we put it in, and it cost me a lot of money. I wish I didn't have to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping this stops the problem.
So, I was out at the site. I mean, this is an after-the-fact RDA. And Mike, you have some pictures, so you might want to talk a little bit about the project?
Sure. So I was driving by on my way to a site visit by the Green Harbor River and noticed that there was a large amount of work going on the property, and we had not issued a permit for any work. Came by after that site visit and noticed that there had been some trenching with piping laid around the perimeter of the house, as you can see by these photos. This is by the garage door. This is by the side of the home off the deck. The pipes are about, they range from a foot to a few inches below the ground, surrounded by gravel and then backfilled. As you can see, a perforated pipe leading towards the edge of the property was implemented. The hopes here trying to draw some of that water from the roof underground and help reduce some of the surface flooding in the neighborhood. I've been working with the contractor to permit this since, and it is permitted as an after-the-fact activity.
Okay. And the reason this is an issue is because it's a buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, but, the perforated pipe terminates within your grass area. It's not pushing water off
We
into the
have, we
vegetated
put
wetland.
in like a 2.5-foot basin.
Yeah,
It's gonna have a cover that, I got a cover, it didn't fit, so.
yeah, it looked like there was a temporary cover out there, I think.
Yeah, we just have like an
Covering
old,
the hole, but, it was good. You can see where it terminates before the wetland, so.
Right.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments about this project? Any of the commissioners, any questions or comments?
I took a look down there today. I agree with you. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they did a good job, so it's a request for a determination of applicability. It's area bordering, a buffer zone bordering vegetated wetlands, so it's subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. The activities are subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. The area and the activities are subject to the Commission's jurisdiction, review, and approval, the wetlands ordinances, but I think everything looks good as far as I'm concerned, as far as Mike's concerned. So that said, if there are no other comments, questions, I'm going to make a motion that we close the hearing and that we issue the determination of applicability after the fact with a +5 and a -3. All in favor?
And then
I'm sorry, did I miss something?
I have some special conditions for the.
Oh, I'm
cover letter,
sorry,
if you
I
don't
know I
mind me.
missed something, special conditions.
I would suggest the following on the cover letter.
Yep.
Ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and to see the conservation administrator agent for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities.
Yep.
And there is an option to put conservation markers on the property. I think that the stone wall does a fair job at delineating which parcel is which.
Okay, all right. So since it's after the fact, I think I jumped ahead and thought the special conditions were already in place.
What does that
but-
all mean? I don't understand what stone wall, I don't know what you're talking about.
So what this means is you're okay to, it's okay, and what you don't have to do is a notice of intent. So that's why, that's what, it's a little confusing, even to us sometimes, what a +5 and a -3 means. +5 means that it's subject to our jurisdiction and approval. A -3 means it's okay, you don't have to do any more paperwork, a notice of intent for the project. So you'll be good to go as soon as everyone agrees, seconds the motion and approves it. So do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now you're good.
Thanks. Do I need any papers, or I'm just all set?
Yes, we'll issue a permit in the next day or two. It'll be available for pickup or delivery.
Okay, and what do I do, just keep that in my records?
Yep.
Because it's all done, I don't.
Yeah, that's right, it's
Yeah.
after the fact, so
Yeah.
that's what makes it just a
Okay.
little
Thanks.
awkward. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. And we have a couple continuations tonight. First one is Calabrese Realty, 0 Main Street. That will be continued until, was it next year?
Yes,
November?
November 20th.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to continue that. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other continuation is, was it a withdrawal, Mike? The town of Marshfield, the DPW?
Yes, the town of Marshfield DPW is continuing to 11/20.
Okay,
They will likely have to refile some of their paperwork.
okay, so I'll make a motion to continue that one to November. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the last one is business item B2, Dana Jr., 605 Plymouth Avenue. That one has been withdrawn.
And then, Bert, if I may,
Go ahead.
anybody here for 5 Country Way or 1840 Ocean Street, that will not be heard at tonight's hearing. You can reach out to the Conservation Office.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's AC 40.
1840 Ocean Street will not be heard tonight either. You can contact the Conservation Office tomorrow.
Sorry, Mike, were those even on the agenda?
No, it had to do with notices of violation that I handled with the chair.
Okay. All right, next one up is 24 Mayflower Lane. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission Wednesday, October 16th, and for the notice of intent filed by Tammy Penome and Christine Travers for the construction of an addition at 24 Mayflower Lane. And the hearing officer is, sorry,
That's what I'm saying.
Sam.
Mike, have all administrative requirements been met?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
Okay. Is someone here present this project? Or-
Sure, yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I think we were continuing for a DEP number, right? On this one?
We received a DEP number.
Yeah, I know, I did this meeting a couple weeks ago. We got approved for this.
Was that when were you out?
Yeah, I think Sam
Yeah.
wasn't here, and I think
Craig
he
took
was,
it
it was his
over.
meeting,
It was last week.
but
Also, we're good to
That's the
go.
one I missed.
I think we did this.
Oh, my
We
apologies.
got approved. Yeah, I'm
And-
pretty sure.
Andrew did note that you need a zoning determination on this one.
Yep.
Makes it easy.
It's interesting.
Hmm.
Check our records.
Rick, the last meeting, it didn't have a file number at that point?
That's that's
That's
my recollection.
Okay.
I definitely presented it, and I can go through it again.
Yes.
Okay, so it was continued, but Mike, refresh my memory on it. We voted on it?
yes. Let me just check my history here.
I certainly don't have an issue reviewing the project if commission.
Yes, we did. We did go over it at the last meeting. The DP number was issued after that meeting, the 26th. We had a discussion regarding the meeting on the third meeting in October, the 16th.
So we need
But did we?
we need to take a vote now. Make the DEP file.
Yeah, we had no further business on it, just vote it.
Just voted in. We did receive building commissioner comments regarding this property. If you'd like me to read those off.
Pretty sure we.
Yeah, I think we went all through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it definitely needs to go to zoning, which we're in the process of.
Okay, so you got that covered?
Yep.
Do we need to take a vote, or we?
Yeah, we
We
should
do?
vote. And you would have been hearing officer.
I guess we'll make a motion to issue the order of conditions. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. I can try it right now.
Yeah. Was.
And the next one up is 11 Adams Road. In compliance with the regulations of Marshfield General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission, November 2nd. To consider the notice of intent filed by Kimberly Lane, 11 Adams Road. And Jesse is hearing officer.
All right. Mike, have abutters been notified and taxes and fees been met?
Yes, they have.
Thank you. Okay, so this proposed work is located within the buffer zone to a border vegetated wetland, barrier beach, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. It's in floodplain AE9. And is there any, you are here to present?
Yeah, my name is Steve Wiles, general contractor representing Kimberly Lane
Okay,
on that project. And what it is, there's an existing structure in the back of the house, a build-out, which is 7 by 14 with inadequate foundation. There was a deck off the back of that, which was 12 by 14, that we had to take down because it was rotted. So there was a danger of people falling through it. And what we propose to do is take down that structure, which is the 7 by 14, making it a little bit bigger, going back to the lot to make it a 12 by 14. And then bumping around that, wrapping around that, would be a 24 by 24 deck, replacing the 12 by 14 that was there.
okay,
And that's what we want to do.
okay. And this will be done, I think I read in phases? So,
Excuse me?
in phases,
Yes.
right? So the first part of,
Well, right now,
The deck.
we're trying to keep everything under the 50% rule.
right, right.
So we have to wait a year after I close the first permit, which was work we're doing now, reshingling, putting windows in, so forth like that. That has a permit. It has nothing to do with conservation on that part of it, but the second phase is what we want to talk about.
How did the deck you want to do now?
What's that?
How did the deck you want to do now?
7
Well,
by
there's a-
16
there's-
or,
There's one section that,
Yeah.
there's a doorway up the back.
Right.
We want to do a little bit just so they have egress, second egress.
okay,
And then once we can get the, 1 year goes up from the first permit, then we'll do the bump out application and the big deck.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mike, do you have any comments?
No additional comments. I do have, the current footprint of the addition is 7 by 14. The new proposed addition would be 12 by 14. New addition is proposed on 3 sonotube footings and will be constructed at the same elevation of the existing single-family home. The rest of the single-family home is supported by stacks of block and has a roughly 2-foot clearance under the structure. The decking is also proposed to be replaced and expanded. The decking has already been removed from the single-family home and was 12 by 14. The deck became rotted and was removed for safety concerns. A new 24 by 24 deck is proposed and will be supported by 8 diamond pier footings. The homeowner is not proposing the removal of the hardscape. That would be covered by the new deck expansion.
Okay. I did have a question on the site plan. I was just curious, on the front of the home here, on the plan, it says proposed second floor.
That's, that would be a second phase.
Okay,
There's an existing portion that was closed in, and we'll just go up another story.
okay, yeah, but that's not part of this.
No,
Okay, okay. And then I noticed that there wasn't and this might be a question for the commission as well, but a pervious table on the plan. Usually we like to have that included, a pervious table, impervious table.
really.
We did have this discussion with the homeowner. I worked and assisted in permitting this one with the homeowner. There will be no real changes in the impervious areas. No concrete's being proposed to be taken out
Okay.
or replaced. At the time of permitting, the plan was already finalized, so we kind of went with that. And there's no proposed changes aside from the additional
Right.
footings here and there.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I just noticed that and wanted to bring it up. Are there any comments from the commissioners? Any comments from the audience or anyone on Zoom? Okay. I don't think there was any building commissioner comments that we need to bring up. No. Mike, any special conditions?
Yeah, I would suggest the following special conditions. General conditions 1 through 18. Prior to construction, condition 5 and 2, have the pre-construction meeting and ensure that the limit of work is staked out. During construction, 11, ensure best management practices are followed. After construction, condition 1, and file for a request for a certificate of compliance. Erosion control, condition 1, ensure erosion control is in place throughout work. There's also the barrier beach condition there to put in, as this is a barrier beach coastal dune. And then there's the commission's option to condition the removal of hardscape under the new expanded structures.
Did you guys give any thought to removing that hardscape, the existing concrete?
It's not in the way of anything, I wasn't gonna touch it.
Just gonna leave it alone?
It's flat to the ground. I didn't want to disturb anything.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it's in an AE 9, I believe, that's the flood zone. I was actually just reading up on this today, usually the AE10, AE11, they like it to be as much hardscape removed, but AE9, they,
I think it is AE11.
actually, I noticed that too, the building commissioner comments said 11,
Oh, okay.
but I looked it up and it is 9,
Oh, okay.
so I don't know if that was just a typo. Okay. All right, I'm going to move to close the hearing then, and issue an order of conditions to, include the conditions listed by Mike. Can I have a second, please?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next one up is Grasso, 207 Ocean Street.
Seymour?
In compliance with the regulations, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing will be held by Marshfield Conservation Commission, November 6th, with a notice of intent filed by Victor and Janet Grasso, 2 Barbary Lane, North Reading, Mass., for a raise and rebuild of an existing single-family home at 207 Ocean Street. And the hearing officer is Corey.
Hello. Mike, can you confirm all requirements have been met?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
All right. So this is not a Barrier Beach coastal dune, but the buffer zone to Barrier Beach coastal dune, right?
Yes.
And it's an AO3
Mhm.
flood zone.
Yes.
So therefore, a concrete foundation is allowed. But it should be on pilings. But we did receive some comments from the building commissioner. I just got these, so
Yeah, I haven't seen those.
So the current proposed construction drawings are not stamped by a registered design professional and do not demonstrate compliance with building code and FEMA regulations for floodplain construction. So the plan that I have is stamped by you, so that is,
Yes.
that is good. But the, I think maybe he's referring to the architecture.
Yeah, I believe the building plans were kind of in process, and I had spoke to the architects or the contractor who's working with them. I don't think they were complete. They didn't have flood vents and stuff on them, but I knew the size of the building, and we talked about those things. That's in process. So I'm not surprised that Andrew doesn't have the final plans yet.
Okay. Yeah, the ones that we have show it as a basement, which is not,
Right, technically, it'll be an enclosure, at-grade enclosure below it. Yep.
the only comment that I had on this was, well, there's a couple things.
Sure.
I can't tell exactly from the plan, from the site plan, what the lowest adjacent grade is.
At the existing house, 12.8. Yeah, the new home is pretty much on top of the old home.
Okay,
Yeah, the grades at the 4 building corners there, Corey. One of them's under that paved, the proposed pervious paver driveway there, 12.8. 12.8 is the other spot grade there.
okay.
I don't know if you can see those.
All right, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that
We were matching the enclosure slab with the lowest adjacent grade was
okay,
what we're planning to do.
all right. That makes sense. And the living space is 21.7, which is
Right.
plenty of room,
Yep, we need
Above.
4 foot clear with the AO.
yeah. Okay. The concrete piers that are in the back, what are they for?
My understanding is they were, and I'm not sure if the homeowners are here or not. I believe those were for, was there ever a building on those, Victor?
No.
They're just piers that were intended for a building that never happened.
Okay,
We're gonna be taking those out. I mean, pretty much 4 of them are right in the new construction. And the other 2, I would imagine they should be taking out as part of this project, but
okay. So those are all gonna be removed.
The piers that are
Yeah.
back there,
Yeah.
there was a garage, which a permit was issued
Yep.
to rebuild. They could not put it on the ground, so the garage had to be up on piers. Because the original owner tried to get a garage built, he wanted to put his Corvette in the garage. And so they said, he was denied, permit, he had to build his garage up. So he had already put in some of the piers and then, said, forget it. He got sick and died. He had
So
no
it-
reason to stop.
So if it was determined that it had to be on piers before, does that mean it was considered dune before? Mike, do you know?
I have to look into that piece. There were no previous permits that came up when we looked at this project, at least from the Conservation Commission.
Okay,
I don't know the history beyond what we just talked about with those that or wasn't involved with any of the, I know they've been there for some time. I wouldn't want to guess at a year, but certainly several years.
yeah, I looked back at some aerial photography and it looked like there was some pavement that was removed in 2015 and then these piers were installed around 2015 or 2016. And I didn't ever see anything after that. So it looks like, so all that gravel area, it looks like it used to be paved.
I agree with that.
Okay,
But, yeah, those have been there right through my involvement with the project, going back several years doing the survey. They've just been kind of there. I had the same question.
yeah. And then the pavers that are proposed will be pervious pavers?
Yep, we are proposing a pervious paver driveway there. There's gonna be a side entry into that enclosure for parking of vehicles and storage in the enclosure. So there will be some garage doors there. And just wanted to get some surface down. And being in the flood zone, I know ideally they, the commission would like to see something, we need something pervious in this area, so gonna go with pavers on this one.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners have any questions, comments? See?
I have a couple. On the north property line, is that a paper street that it?
It's a right-of-way, it's an old historical right-of-way. It was put in place from the owner to the west that was out back, was original owner of all this land. And when they sold off this lot, they left themselves a right out to Ocean Street.
Gotcha. Okay, so there's no putting it, like, the driveway over, that's fine.
Well, I stayed out of it because we didn't need it, but it's still in place on the deed, but
Okay,
nobody accesses through there.
gotcha.
But that's where it comes from.
We access through there.
Well, yeah, we left it open. I know there's a fence at the back, maybe for walking, but at least when we were there, there was,
Yeah, just for walking, we don't.
yeah, drive through. Yeah,
And then, secondly, I would just, it looks like it kind of it's graded from east to west, like off Ocean Street. So if
Yeah.
the erosion control could just be kind of surrounding the whole site.
sure.
I think
Yep.
that's appropriate.
Yeah,
Otherwise, though, that's fine.
Yeah, as far as the coastal dune, I think that's down the road a little bit towards the Esplanade, because there was a house that burnt there a few years ago, and the coastal dune delineation was right in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, this is outside of mapped coastal dune, Barrier Beach.
Yeah, so they can have the concrete foundation.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the audience?
I was wondering, with the flow of the water, there's supposed to be some gates or something for the water to flow through their building. Is that gonna happen that way?
Yes, there's flood vents.
Yeah, the flow vents?
Yep, we're proposing 6 flood vents in the enclosure to allow water to pass through and also to relieve pressure on this foundation. Yes, but to allow flood waters to move through. So they're on the front, sides, and rear of the building.
So you can have a lot of water at your house.
Yeah, so when it comes through there, it just goes directly to my property, and as it comes down the driveway.
The flood vents are, it's a FEMA requirement, so in the event that they would be used, it'd be when the water is, realistically, your property would probably be underwater as well. It's just to alleviate the pressure
Pressure.
against the foundation
Okay.
from collapsing or the house being like lodged off the foundation.
I thought that's why, they had to be, the houses had to be raised up and not on the solids anymore.
That was part of the
The
discussion
discussion.
as to whether or not it was considered coastal dune there or not, and it's not, because it's, up on what was originally an island.
Right. Yeah, it was, that was, again, there's, I know 3 or 4 people down there had to pick them up, they couldn't put foundations in, and so that's why. Is it, how far down the foundation gonna go?
It'll be a 4-foot frost wall. I haven't, just from standard construction practices, I haven't seen the final plans, but
Sure.
there'll be a footing and a frost wall, but most of it will be, the slab will be at grade, and there'll be some exposed foundation above the ground.
Okay.
Yep.
You have another question?
Yes, part of my ignorance, is this a meeting to issue a building permit?
This is the Conservation Commission meeting to issue an order of conditions that the work is,
My only comment is I'm looking at the plans and it's significantly larger than the current building, its current footprint. And I'm wondering why that's being considered.
that's what they've proposed.
It's 134 square feet larger.
It's actually not that much.
Right.
For instance, you were talking about the concrete structures. They were put in about 5 or 6 years ago, and then they fell apart, and the permit for those structures ended. And right now, there's no permit to build on on those structures. And if you're gonna expand the building out over that, that's really expanding and increasing the footprint of the building. I'm curious as to why that's being considered. In other words, it comes almost to the neighbor's property in back. And there's never been a building.
I think the plans show 15,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I think the plans show a 15-foot.
Rear, yep, that's correct. That's a
rear?
sideline there, actually. 15.2 feet. And this project will be going to the zoning board. That will be the next phase to discuss the setbacks and lot coverage things will be
That's why I said,
discussed.
I'm
Yep.
not, I apologize for my ignorance. I'm not sure if this is has to do with issuing a building permit.
No, this is not the building permit discussion. This is only about the Wetlands Protection Act and how the project relates to protection of the interests
Did
of
somebody
the
say
act.
this isn't part of the coastal flood zone? Because I can't believe that, watching the storms pour over that wall.
Yes, it's considered land subject to coastal storm flowage. And it's
Sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
it's considered land subject to coastal storm flowage.
Yeah.
So it does receive floodwater.
I'll say. I live next door.
Oh, okay, yeah, so it's a AO3 3, which is a little different than some of the other flood zones that are more common, like the AE flood zones. It just indicates that this area is more subject to ponding or shallow flow, no, not wave action.
Well, that's part of the reason for the,
Yeah.
I mean, Rick could speak to this, but I mean, I think this is the reason for the project, is to elevate the house to limit its exposure to these storms. And there
Well, I
will,
see the garage on the first floor though. I'm wondering what's that all about.
It's at ground level.
Yeah, it's, can I, want me to speak to that?
Go ahead.
It's it's an enclosure below the living space, which is allowed by FEMA. It's basically gonna be, there won't be any living space or finished space in there. It's intended just to be for storage of vehicles and other types of storage, but there can't be any finished work in there. So it's just another way of elevating the structure above the floodplain. In this case, would be supported by concrete walls, and you are allowed to store things such as vehicles in there, if it's vented, if it's built in compliance with the flood regulations, with proper venting and so forth. So there will be an enclosure that can be used for parking vehicles below the living space.
Any other discussion? Mike, did you have any comments, special conditions?
Yes, I would suggest the following special conditions. General conditions 1 through 18 are standard special conditions. Prior to construction, conditions 5 and 2 to stake out the site and have a pre-construction meeting. During construction, condition 11, ensure best management practices are followed. After construction, condition 1, to obtain a certificate of compliance. Ensure that erosion control is in place throughout the duration of work and encompasses the entire limit of work. And then the removal of the old concrete footings in the rear of the property there.
Okay. All right, if no further comments, then I will ask for a motion to close the hearing. Can I have a second?
second.
And issue an order of conditions,
Conditions.
sorry.
I still second. Okay.
Okay. And all in favor?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your time.
Sorry about that other one, Rick. My memory must be shot. I can't even remember the.
I'm lucky I remembered it. Burn. But yeah, but I know it came back to me. We had to do it. We didn't close it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the next one up is off Marginal Street. In compliance with the regulations, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Chapter 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission. On October 16th, this was continued. For the notice of intent filed by Laurie and Fred Sweeney, 119 Marginal Street, Marshfield. So did we already read that in? We must have continued it, right?
We did continue the Sweeney off Marginal Street one, yes.
Okay. I don't see anybody here.
John Zimmer is online.
Okay. I am the hearing officer. John, do you hear us?
Yes, I do.
Okay, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. For the record, John Zimmer, South River Environmental, on behalf of the applicants. We originally filed this back a month or so ago for some invasive species management. It's a vacant lot. It's at the end of Marginal Street, right off of Carswell. The majority of the lot is comprised of salt marsh. There's a small, you can see the green wetland boundary, which I flagged in the field. There's a small area of upland as you get to the west by the property line. The interior of the salt marsh, where the black box is on the site plan, has some small pockets of Phragmites coming in. There are also some upland invasives in the buffer zone as well. So what the proponent is looking to do is basically some handwork within the salt marsh to hand cut the Phragmites to keep it, at ground level to the best that they can to kind of protect the view shed. The Sweeneys live in the house that's, kind of at the bottom of the page there on the site plan. But it's actually to the left of where the north arrow is. So they have a view shed down across the marsh. And then to also remove some of the invasives that are within the upland between the wetland boundary and the property line. And then have the ability to hand install some plantings, mainly native shrubs, beech rose, bayberry, some high tide bush within the actual salt marsh at kind of the boundary of it. And that's to promote some, revegetation in those areas where the invasives are taking out, to hopefully, use natural methods to control them by trying to outcompete them as best they can. There's also an existing stone bench that's within the limit of the salt marsh. I'm not sure if you have a picture of it or not, but it's an area that the Sweeneys will go and sit to be able to enjoy the marsh. The little ring of stones there is going to be removed as well. It's a fire pit. I'm not sure if it's ever actually been used, but that's going to be taken out. So we had initially filed it, as a straight NOI. DEP came back to us and said that we should file it as an ecological restoration project, which, okay, I mean, I guess technically we needed to do that, and we did. So that was the result of the delay. In the opening of the hearing, I had to get some additional paperwork in with respect to ecological restoration, but DEP's issued a file number for it now. It did not have any substantive comments associated with it. So pretty much in a nutshell, happy to answer any questions that you may have. Obviously, they would look to maybe control the frag 2 times a year, something to that effect, so they can stay out of it. But certainly leave it open to whatever the commission feels is appropriate.
Yeah, John, I'm just passing around a picture of the bench.
Okay.
Mike, have you got some comments?
Yes, this originally came in to the attention of the commission on August 7th. We received a complaint of unpermitted cutting within the salt marsh. I went out on site to find Mr. Sweeney coming back from that parcel with landscaping equipment and described that he had done the work within the salt marsh. The proposed vegetation management planting plan serves to establish desirable native vegetation on the lot while also giving the owners permission to manage invasive and opportunistic species. As you can see, Phragmites have pretty much overrun this parcel. So getting some high tide bush in the salt marsh and managing those invasives would be in the best interest of the marsh in that area. Some other invasives in that area that would be controlled would be multiflora rose, Asiatic bittersweet, and honeysuckle. Nuisance species would be managed via hand tools and cuttings. No herbicides are proposed. And the proposed native plantings would consist of 20 high tide bushes, up to 10 beech rose, up to 10 bayberry, and up to 5 eastern red cedar.
Yeah, the other thing that I would like to mention too is that we are proposing to install conservation markers along the western property boundary, of which 3 that are proposed.
Okay, thanks, John. Comments from commissioners? What's everybody's feeling about the bench? It appears that it's been there for some time. It's all grown in around it. Doesn't appear like it's
They're
causing
using
any,
Doesn't appear that they are.
not a lot,
Right.
but it doesn't appear that there's any scour occurring from being located there. I think it's debatable whether or not to take it out would cause more disturbance than just leaving it in place. But I'd like to hear,
Is it on a, is it on a pad?
no.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Just,
It's just on the ground.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with leaving it there.
Everybody else okay with it? Sure. And the fire pit's gonna go away. I don't think that's a good idea in the salt marsh. Mike, did you have something else?
Yes, I would suggest the following special conditions, general conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction, have a pre-construction meeting, or prior to implementing the work and planting plan, have a pre-construction meeting. During the work, ensure that best management practices are followed. After construction or after implementation, apply for a certificate of compliance. And then this project would require 2 years of monitoring by a qualified wetland professional and a 75% success rate at the end of that monitoring. And then the conservation markers as noted.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, could I also recommend one other special condition?
Sure.
That the commission be provided, 24 to 48 hours notice before the work is to be done. That way you guys will have a heads up in case you get calls that somebody's working in the salt marsh.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
a good-
reasonable.
Good idea. I'd like to open it up to the, any comments by the public? I see none. I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and issue the special conditions as previously listed by Mike. Do I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Have a good night.
That concludes our hearings. So we've shifted our business items to the end of the meeting. Mike, was that a discussion that you had with Greg?
Yes.
Let's just talk about that with the rest of the commission. But, I think it makes sense, when people have a paid hearing, I think they're entitled to having it on time. And some of
Exactly.
these business items have got pretty lengthy.
Yes. We have, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
we have had feedback from several, or a couple of surveyors and engineers regarding this issue. They're being paid by the hour, so when we have lengthy business items ahead of these actual public hearings, then they're being paid for sitting through those business items and representing the client, even though they're obviously not representing them during that time. So this just kind of better works for everybody's schedules, the client's money, and all the above.
Yeah, actually, just for everybody's information, it started off when the meetings used to start at 7, and when we moved them to 6:30, that was to allow the business items to get in before the 7 o'clock time. But it seems to have morphed into a lot more time, so I think this is a good idea. Sounds like we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
wondering about that myself.
Okay. So, business item B1 is Sheehan, 485 Pleasant Street. Do we have anybody here for that on Zoom, or you gonna cover that, Mike?
I don't see anybody on Zoom, but this is what they want to do is they want to put a split rail fence around this this pond on the corner of the property. They didn't necessarily give a site plan with the exact location of this split rail fence, but if it's conditioned beyond the conservation posts, or perhaps the conservation markers are placed on the split rail fence, that could be a good option. Split rail fence, has ample room below and in between posts for the passage of wildlife, so I don't really predict this to be a barrier to for animals and wildlife to access that pond there. The split rail fence should not be located any closer to the pond than the noted conservation markers.
That sounds good. Any further discussion for commissioners?
No?
And it can just be captured on the as-built, right, Mike?
Yes.
So I make a motion that the fence by the pond on 485 Pleasant Street is acceptable. All in favor?
Aye.
And next business item is B3, McCarthy, 14 Damon's Point Road. Again, Mike, do you want to cover that?
Yep. This homeowner would like to put in a fenced area. As you can see, it's partly within the AE15 flood zone and partly outside of the flood zone in a Zone X. The homeowner is proposing a 6-inch gap below the fence, and it would be a 5-foot tall chain link fence. And they already have an open permit for this addition slash, I believe it's a sunroom. Yes, addition slash sunroom off the corner of where the fence would be going.
Did building commissioner have any comments on that? Does that require a building permit?
I believe he said he didn't have any issues with it.
Yep, yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I have no issues with this request.
Okay, unless any commissioners have questions, I make a motion to approve the fence at 14 Damon's Point Road.
Sounds good.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
How about B4, Mike? Was there anything to talk about on that?
I don't see any representatives here for that one. I didn't know if we wanted to continue until Mr. McCarthy or representative were here to further discuss that. I do see it's on the agenda. We could go through some sections of the vegetation management plan here that would address that area of town.
Yeah, well, I think we can table that for now.
Okay.
Discuss that when we have the people here. That case, request for certificates of compliance.
If I may, Bert.
Yeah, go ahead.
480 Ferry Street, Mr. Rowell has put in the extra conservation markers. He updated us earlier this week.
Okay, so DEP 2509, 480 Ferry Street.
Yes.
Make a motion to issue the COC. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is DEP 2923, 162 Bay Avenue. That one is still outstanding.
Yeah, still outstanding.
Okay, I make a motion, to table that one. I guess we can just table it. And 2984, 25 Carolyn Circle, same situation. Table that one. And DEP 3065, 44 Bayberry Road. You want to explain that one, Mike?
Yes. So with 44 Bayberry Road, there is an issue on both the floodplain permit side. Apparently, they've never paid for the floodplain permit, so the fees have to be paid for. Additionally, a gravel driveway was constructed. However, it was constructed with reclaimed asphalt. It was proposed to just be gravel. Site visit determined that it was reclaimed asphalt, reclaimed roadway. So there is a question of how pervious those materials are. It looked like it could have been a mix of gravel and asphalt. I did speak with the homeowner today. It's kind of, he's not certain what mixture it is either. I think a porosity test could be a good option for this property. Typically in the past, the administrator goes out with or agent goes out with a 5-gallon bucket, pours it in the middle of the pavement, and sees how pervious it is. If it drains into the subsurface, it's considered pervious. If it kind of runs down the hardscape there, then it would not be considered pervious. So that is kind of up in the air. It is, let me pull up a site plan here. It is within this location, so it leads up to the new garage and then up to the side deck on that home there. So it is a substantial amount of space.
Okay, does that sound acceptable to the other commissioners?
Are they gonna do the test?
Mike would do the
Yeah.
test?
Yeah.
And observe it?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll table that till we get the results from your test, Mike,
Perfect.
and also till they pay for the floodplain permit. And next one is number 2993, 17 West Street. Looks like that one is all in order, Mike?
Yes, that one is all in order. They have not received their certificate of occupancy yet from the building department, so they should work on that one. The building commissioner actually recommends not to issue the COC until they've completed the building permit and received a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, so we'll table that one.
Yeah.
And how about 2948?
Can we get a vote on the table?
Make a motion to table 2993 till it's completed. Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
And then sorry to interrupt. I don't believe we got a second for 162 Bay Ave or 25 Carolyn Circle to table those two.
Okay. I was under the impression if we table something, we don't have to take a vote.
Okay.
Anybody concur with that, or?
I don't know. I don't know what the rule is.
I thought Craig had said that she could table something as chair. Anyway, we'll take a vote.
Might as well.
Have it
Okay.
covered.
Yep.
I can look that up.
So that was 3065. Make a motion to table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And then
And then Bay Avenue we have to do, too, right?
29, 23.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I make a motion to table 29, 23, 162 Bay Avenue. In a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one, 2948, Mike, is that one complete?
Yes, 2948 has been completed. There is one discrepancy between the proposed and the final. The proposed, there's a small patio off the side of the home. It was first proposed to be in this location, which is further away from the salt marsh than where it was actually built. This is the location here that was proposed, highlighted in red. As we see down here, it was built off to the side in the rear and is built close to those wetland flags back there. The site is stable. There's a question whether removing it could cause more harm than good at this point, but it was constructed within the 0 to 25 foot setback. It was off of this area here that would have been a 5 foot wide type breezeway walkway around the home to kind of catch roof runoff. But the location of that patio did change from the proposed to the as-built site plan without commission review.
Is it a patio, Mike?
It's made of brick, so yeah, it's like a brick and a bluestone patio from what I could tell.
What was the year this was permitted? Like, when was this permitted?
The exact year that the permit was issued, I'm not certain, but I believe it was around the 2017 time, around that time.
I would assume, I mean.
It has a
Bert,
more recent
were you-
file number.
Bert, were you the only one that was on the commission at that point?
Craig might have been.
Yeah.
This actually might have been
That might have been a point of contention during the, like, there's probably a reason why it was proposed as it was proposed. I mean, I know, I'm not saying you're gonna remember that, but, we wouldn't have allowed that now.
There are.
I mean, does that appear to be within, was that previously disturbed lawn area or anything, Mike?
This whole area has been maintained at some point as lawn area. It is, however, within this string of conservation markers on the property, marking off the 25-foot setback. So it is clearly within there.
Yeah. I mean, the conservation markers are supposed to mean something.
Right.
I mean, that looks like feet away from the wetlands.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very
Not
close.
right on top.
It was originally had a walkway that was fairly close to it as well that got approved, but
Were all those plantings, are those plantings that was purple? Like, what is that, 3, 4, 2, what is that?
I'm not particularly sure. These mark out different locations of trees that were cut. It's possible that these were the shrubs on there as well that had to be removed.
Gotcha.
I know part of this too captured a septic tank in this area, as well as some brickwork on the property and hardscape.
Tell you what, it's pretty involved. It's coming back to me now, but why don't we table this one for now and take a look at the minutes and see what was discussed? I think the fact we put the conservation markers in,
I wouldn't feel comfortable just issuing those.
Yeah.
Yep.
well, actually, at this point, is the commission satisfied? Mike should tell the owner to resolve this?
I'm good with that.
As in removal of the patio where it exists.
Yeah, move it to where they said they were gonna put it. Hey, it's not it looks like a pretty small,
Yeah, it's a fairly small patio. It's maybe about what is it? It's 195 square feet. So
Mike, is that just sketched on there, or is that,
no, I highlighted the area around it so it would stand out.
so that's a plan?
Yeah, this is a signed and stamped plan.
Who signed and stamped that?
This is a screenshot of a portion of that plan. I can
'Cause that's just a complete disregard of what was issued on the project. I mean, that seems,
well, I think this is an as-built, the surveyor put.
was this an as-built?
yeah, this was an
Oh,
as-built
oh,
plan.
Sorry. I thought this was kind of like a revised
Good.
proposed
Oh.
plan. That was-
This is the full plan. The full as-built, that is.
Yeah, as I look at it, I'm remembering a little more about this. It's kind of an interesting lot. I mean, the garage is, part of it's on another property. I believe it's owner unknown, the other property. And I believe the homeowner did a lot of the work there himself,
Yes.
and he was in here, and, you know, he proposed what he was gonna do. I'm not sure why he changed. So I think you should convey to him the feeling of the commission is he should relocate it, and if he wants to come in and discuss it with us, that's his option.
Okay.
Could we consider, like, in lieu of moving it, some sort of planting?
Restoration or something?
Possibly. It's a, like I said, it's a pretty interesting location. You know, the house would never be allowed to be built where it is.
Mm.
So why don't we make a motion to continue and see what how the homeowner wants to address this.
Perfect.
So that's it, motion to continue 2948, 85 Rockport Street. We got a second?
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 All in favor?
Aye.
And that concludes our business. Take a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry for confusion. I only do this a couple times a year, and
All good.